Hey guys, it's Adam here from Dpadnews TV, and today we're going to do a guide of sorts. We actually got a request from Dpadnews1. Thank you for your request. And just to show you guys that we do, want requests from you guys, videos to make, we're going to do a camping video. A guide of, I guess you could say, the pros and cons of camping and how to do it correctly and how to do it incorrectly, the way most of you probably see it. So let's get this started with the pros. So the pros of camping are, few and far between, some could say. A lot would like to determine that camping is a new thing, and it is, if you do it the wrong way. So what you're going to want to do first is set up a perimeter. Before I go into what I'm using, you should always have a motion sensor on, so that way you can see your surroundings. Now, as you can see, there is a UAV, but the motion sensor does pick up move for move what that guy was doing. Now, that's very, very important. So before we go any further, let's talk about my setup. Now, setup is very important for camping correctly. So as you can see, I'm using a Galil silenced. Silenced is very, very important. You want to stay invisible as possible. The less people know where you are, the better. Now, I obviously, so once again, I'm using the Galil silenced. So my perks, I am using a Ghost Pro. When Ghost would also do just fine. I'm using Warlord Pro, which doesn't really make a difference. I'm just using Warlord so I can have extended mag on my Galil. And I am also using Marathon, which once again, not that important. The most important thing is to use Ghost. Now the reason I'm using extended mag is because you're staying in one area, so you're going to want to try and stay alive as long as possible. And that's something that's not really going to be accomplishable if you don't have a lot of ammo. Now, you're probably all thinking, well, you're not really camping. You're going out of where with the building and blah blah blah. That's not true. What I'm doing here is I've picked an area. I've picked a large area that I'm going to camp in. And the reason I've done this is because when you're working in a small area, you're bounded by the walls around you. Now, by me setting a larger area up, I am now taking advantage of my surroundings. Now, I'm going to speed through this just a little bit. As you can see, I'm checking all around me all the time. Now, the motion sensor will pick up anybody who comes into range around me, and that's also very, very important. So, obviously, I've picked the north side of the map to camp on. The center point of my camping is within the building, but whenever I see somebody stray in kind of on their own, I get ready to pounce. And so I'm going to take this guy down because I saw him coming in. Now, you're going to want to use a spy plane. I'm using a SR-71, and I also have dogs on. Mostly, I guess your third perk could be whatever, but you're going to want to definitely try and use spy plane and an SR-71 so you can always see where your opponents are. Now, when you don't do these things, as you're going to see later when we talk about the cons, you trap yourself. Now, I have many escape routes, and the whole point of camping is to stay alive. And as you can see, just in this room, when I'm camping on several different sides of this room. And that's really so that way when they come in, see that I've killed them in one area, I'm not in the same spot twice. Or at least not twice in concession. Now that's very important because if you're in twice in concession, they're going to know where you are, and you want to stay hidden. That's that's really the key element to camping is, to stay hidden from your opponents, or to, you're not venturing out, you're not taking advantage of the entire map, just, one section. So if you're doing this, as you can see, I got dogs. That's 11 kills. Now, that's 11 kills playing smartly, playing correctly. Now, if you do this, I guarantee you, for those of you who do camp, if you play like this, you will do a lot better. And don't be afraid to pick up other people's weapons, preferably if they're silenced, like this MPL. And once again, I'm just going to skip through a little bit here. Just once again, always checking around me. Because there is a chance that your motion sensor might fail you. Utilize your mini-map also. That's very, very important. If you see gunfire, your motion sensor should pick up those around you. Stay near your motion sensor. Don't stand next to it, don't stand on it, but stay in the generalized area if possible. So I finished this game 20 and 4, or 20 and 5, so that's a KDR of 4.0. That's very good. So now that we've heard the pros to camping in the correct way, let's look at the wrong ways. Now, here I'm using the M60, obviously a non-suppressed weapon. I'm not using Ghost, and I'm using a Claymore rather than using a motion sensor or, say, a jammer. Now, campers like to camp in the same spot, and, I mean, here, I get quite a good amount of kills. Like, I'm next to the bed on Havana upstairs. Now, you're thinking here, I'm 6-0, I'm going to get a kill, or I died there, so I'm 6-1 now. Now, I'm back in the same spot, and the problem with this is now everyone knows where I am. When you keep going back to the exact same position, you die, and, well, you die. So, the point here is that if you're going back to the same spot over and over and over again, and not switching it up, people know where you are. I ended up finishing that game 9-7. So I went from being 6-1 to 9-7. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, that's a dramatic change. I probably went on a losing streak there for kills, you know, vastly. So my next point here is trapping yourself. So as you see here, we are on Villa, and this of course is a notorious camping spot for anybody who's familiar with camping. So you camp next to the stairs here, and I mean, people just run up. Now when I talk about trapping yourself, like, you're thinking, well, you know, okay, I just got a 3-kill streak. Yeah, you have a lot of windows around you, blah blah blah, but by trapping yourself, by me being in here, you're vulnerable to grenades. Even though there's 2 windows, like you can logically escape, but you have 2 windows where grenades will get chucked as soon as people acknowledge and recognize that you're in there, and people come up the stairs knowing that you're camping in that position. So I mean, by trapping yourself, you're ultimately, yeah, you might get a few kills, but ultimately you're really causing yourself to get caught up in the moment, because now everyone knows where we are. And look at this guy. He decides to camp up here with me. Not necessarily a good thing to camp with another camper. Obviously that can backfire in a lot of ways. Also, I want to point out the fact that this was really difficult for me to do. I'm not a camping type of player, as I'm really sure you guys have seen. So this is really difficult for me to try and be bad. And I actually do fairly well in that game, even though I stayed in that building. Now, here is, this is something I'll touch on later, but camping in a random spot. Now, camping in random spots is fine if the random spot is logical, if it makes sense, but a lot of players like to rely on claymores a little too much. Now, so I put this claymore down, and, you know, what am I doing here? This doesn't make sense. Yeah, I might get a random kill with the claymore, and then, you know, I'm sure you people have seen it where a camper will put down a claymore in front of them, and then what? You run past it, die, and they're still there when you go back and kill them. It really takes away from camping in a very effective manner. You know what I mean? So that's something also to keep in mind. So this brings me to my next point. Camping takes a long time to accomplish anything. So here I am on, once again, we're still on crack. And so I'm camping in one of these buildings. Now I have a claymore at the door, So once again, I'm relying on the Claymore to have my back, which does, pose a problem. So I go about almost a minute between me getting a kill, my first kill, and getting my second kill. And camping obviously is not good against campers. Obviously, as you can see, the entire other team is camping as well. And that obviously just beats the entire purpose of playing. Like, why not just throw the towel in and forfeit? It just beats the whole purpose of it. Luckily for me, as I see my teammate go down, so I know somebody's going to come over and kill him. It's just a matter of time. But look how long this is taking. It's ineffective, inefficient. It's pointless. And finally, I'm going to get a kill here because this guy just runs out, and I'm going to get hit. So, overall, camping can be effective if you do it correctly. And even though I'm going to get an SR-71, the people I'm playing against are crap. And I know how to shoot, and I know how to play this game. So even when I'm camping like this, I can still play. And if anything, don't be like Michael, because as you saw there, he got tubed for trying to be an asshole. So, if anything's worse than camping, it's being Michael. Keep that in mind, too. So, guys, overall, if you do it the way that I show you, camping can be an effective thing. But, if you're, do the things that I just showed you not to do, if you're one of those campers, this is going to be completely pointless and useless for you. So that's my guide on camping. I'm Adam for Dpadnews TV, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.